We're rolling into the 2025 NFL Draft with a stacked running back class from top to bottom. We're going to see some UDFAs hit for us in the league, and it's led by star running back from Boise State, Ashton Jeanty, who went off this year. He was a 4-star recruit coming out of high school, per 24/7 Sports, ranked as the 29th best running back in his class. Coming out of high school, he's 5'9", 195. We added size to that. Didn't receive a ton of offers. We got 15 of them. Some good schools mixed in there with some smaller schools as well, but we went to Boise State. And at Boise State, even though we were sharing the backfield, our freshman year, we were able to muster up 821 yards and 7 touchdowns. And then once we fully got our opportunity in 2023, we had a pretty good season. 1,300 yards, 14 touchdowns. Many running backs in college football would love to be able to produce that. At 6.1 yards per carry, catching 43 balls, that's solid. 569 yards receiving, 5 touchdowns. He was deployed more in the passing game that year. But this year, we all know, it's no surprise. 2,600 yards, 29 touchdowns. Been compared to Barry Sanders statistically throughout the year. One of the best seasons ever for a running back in college football. And Ashton Jeanty did that. He went off. Going back to his freshman season, he mustered up 2 100-yard performances. His best game was against North Texas. And that was a game where it was his come-out moment. He got 28 carries, 178 yards, and a touchdown. He blew the top off the defense there. And you knew that was something that was going to happen going forward. You didn't know to the degree of 2,600 yards. But during that time against North Texas, it was what we called like the anointing moment where you knew you got the next running back at Boise State. And then we cemented things during his sophomore season. We went off against Colorado State, San Diego State, San Jose State, and going for over 150 yards rushing in each one of those games. Just blowing it up and just racking up the yards. Against UCLA, 85 yards rushing, 5 yards per carry. Just looking nasty on the field. But then it's this season. 14 games of over 100 yards or more. And we have multiple 200 yards performances in there. You just could not stop him. We ran over Oregon. We ran over Washington State. We were able to get over 100 yards rushing against Penn State, and people were complaining about that performance in the bowl game, or the playoff game, however you want to call it. We still racked up the yards. 3.5 yards per carry. Penn State came in with a good game plan, but still, we carried the ball 30 times. He is the workhorse of this team. Multiple games of over 30 carries. A little bit less in the passing game this year, but of course, you're carrying the rock so much. There are some games we were almost pushing 40 carries. Oregon State, 37 carries for 226 yards and a touchdown. 7 yards per carry this year. Everything just elite. 1,970 yards after contact, 5.25 yards after contact per attempt, and forced 151 missed tackles. Those are all elite numbers. Those are all top tier in 2024. The year prior, it's solid. 981 yards after contact, 4.52 yards after contact per attempt, 82 missed tackles. Both seasons, he's up there in missed tackles. He's up there in yards after contact per attempt. And then you just look at that freshman season, 3.88 yards after contact per attempt, 606 yards after contact, and 50 missed tackles. A lot less workload during those seasons, but we were getting it done. We make guys miss in the open field, and we have the potential to really house it. And when you're looking at this, sure, he played against smaller programs, but he maximized his ability in that situation. You're not seeing many running backs in that situation get 151 missed tackles racked up. You're unlikely to see that in 2 seasons. 82 missed tackles in 2023, and you're going over the share of carries in the backfield. It steadily increased. At age 18, freshman year, 28%. Age 19, 39%. And then this year, 67% of the carries out of the backfield, along with a 77% share of the rushing yards out of the backfield. The year prior, 44. The year prior was pretty good as well. It was a sharp increase in rushing yards. And in the passing game, not too shabby either. Yards after the catch per reception. You got to go back to 2023. That's where he got the most work in the passing game. 14.1 yards after the catch per reception. That goes hand in hand in making guys miss in the open field. Your speed, your burst, and everything else. 6.7 this year, but a little bit less work in the passing game because you were getting all the work in the run game pretty much. And we can see that in the amount of targets. In 2023, he had 48 targets versus 33 this year, and a 13.52% target share last year versus 8.4 this year. It's just when you're getting so much work in the rushing departments, your target share and targets is going to reduce a little bit. Got to keep them fresh. You got other options. And that being said, those numbers in 2023 with 48 targets and really racking up the receiving yards and catches and a good target share, 13.52%. Anything over 10 is really good for a running back. That lets you know that we can be a workhorse in a passing game as well, not just a carry up the gut merchant or a running back that's just hogging up the touches up the gut. We got a running back here that can be used in all phases, which is very good for whatever team that drafts him because he's strong, he's compact, he's got a good frame, he's tough to tackle in the open field. He's got good vision, he follows his blocks, he's got good burst, he's very agile and chain together moves in the open field because he can read the momentum of the players around him, and he's got great balance and footwork, and that allows him to slip past tackles, break free. He's also explosive in short areas. He has got good hands. He's durable. He's proved that. He's got so many touches at Boise State that he's proven that. He's smart in pass protection as well. He's good at all phases. When you look at the finer nuances of his game, he's good at all phases. What I like best, like if you had to come to me and you ask me, what trait do you think about the most when you think about Ashton Jeanty? I think about his ability to maintain balance at contact, spin out, and get extra yards. Take that hit, go back a ways, and then keep moving forward, regaining speed quick, and chaining together moves. His ability to really eat extra yards in the open field where most running backs are left for dust, that is what I see out of Ashton Jeanty, and that's what is allowing him to get all those yards after contact per attempt and also be very good at the college level racking up yards. When I think about the weaknesses, there really isn't much. Of course, you can really look at him playing against lesser competition, and that's valid. You should always be objective in looking at that. However, when I think about Ashton Jeanty, you got all the nuances there for him to be a good running back at the next level. I'm looking at all the mock drafts. I'm looking at the mock draft averages. 70.4% of the time, he's mocked in the first round. He's mocked usually in the top 10 to top 12 area, and most likely to the Dallas Cowboys in those mock drafts. I'm not holding that to concrete, but I am looking at as market analysis that the odds of him falling out of the first round is highly unlikely, and he's going to go somewhere to a team that needs a running back, that this could be a juicy proposition for him. The earliest is probably the Raiders. The latest is somewhere in the back end of the first round where someone's going to pull the trigger. By trying to break the mock draft with our videos here, by thinking outside the box, not trying to be predictive, we can definitely say that the well dries up at a lot of positions, and some teams have to reach or take a luxury spot at some spot of the draft, at some position. And Ashton Jeanty, the odds of him falling out of the first round is highly unlikely due to that. If it was jacked at like offensive line, defensive line through the gills, then I could definitely see that happening, but it's not. It's a good draft. There's some good spots of it, but you get in that back end of the first round and things are starting to loosen up a little bit. Ashton Jeanty right now is a lock for the first round. So when you compare him to the other running backs in this class, Omarion, Hampton, Kaleb Johnson, Quinshon Judkins, Trevion Henderson, I look at a running back prospect here that's easily the 101 in Dynasty rookie drafts. That's easy to say. That's easy to say. We're seeing that in every draft, whether it's super flex, 1 QB. On top of that, Kaleb Johnson and Omarion Hampton, very talented running back prospects. I don't think they're too far off, if at all. Ashton Jeanty, though, is going to get the draft capital. He's going to get the draft capital. He's going to get the opportunity to prove himself. And odds are he's not going to land in a situation where he's going to get jacked up by playing behind an incumbent running back and sitting for a year like a Trey Benson or anything like that. Ashton Jeanty is going to be the man wherever he goes. On top of that, when we look at his redraft, ADP rankings, and what we're seeing on the market, easy second-round selection right now. That's going to bump up to him being a first-round pick. He's going to be a first-round pick in redraft, early second round. He's already being talked as a second rounder. We don't know the landing spot, but we know he's going to go to a situation where he's going to get workload. So he's going to be up there when it comes to price. You look at guys like Marvin Harrison Jr. in last year's drafts. He was bumped up to the back end of the first round. Malik Neighbors was flirting with that. In some leagues, he was drafted in the first round, depending on who you're playing with. Ashton Jeanty, with him being a running back, with the scarcity at the position, especially when it comes to workhorses, I think you're going to see him going at a high clip in rookie draft ADP, which is a market sentiment saying, hey, this running back's good. This running back's good. Everybody's in on him. And what we talked about today, the production, the advanced metrics, what we see on the field, it all stands out. It all stands out. We're looking at a very good running back going into the 2025 NFL draft. We should all be excited to draft him. Let me know what you think about him in the comments below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on the way out. One thing for watching. Catch you on the next video.